Welcome, guys, to episode 12. Today, we're going to talk about millionaire Bryan Johnson trying to chase youth and with the anti-aging program, and Disney, how it's teaming up with Sony to get rid of all the physical media. How are you guys going? How are you guys?
Hello.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, we're doing good, man.
This is a new layout. I'm just feeling it out. As soon as the camera hit me, it's all right.
Well, change it up a little bit, man. Have a little fun with these camera views, man, because that's all we can do in these online podcasts.
But if you just have a look at the cameras, though, the quality is like so good. It's getting better. Every podcast, we're improving. We're taking one step forward, no steps back.
And, for people that don't want to spend a lot of money on actual webcams, not saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing, but, a lot of phones now can be used as webcams. So I think myself, I'm using my phone, which is a Google Pro 8.
I'm using my phone as well.
Yeah, same.
Also,
we're all using this.
Phones are coming up, man.
Money on an expensive DSLR camera or whatever, something fancy. You can literally get your phone. I've got a tripod from Aldi. It's got a little light on it, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
You look amazing. You guys look amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
I think iPhone as well. This is not a publicity for the different phone companies, but iPhone is looking pretty good as well.
Hey, man, you didn't need to throw that in there.
Yeah, I think try to spice it up a little. Just say it. You're a Google guy and I'm an Apple guy. That's it. We set up the war.
Anyways, today looks like we have a few topics that we're excited to talk about. Run the intro.
Welcome to The Boys on the Mic, the one-stop audio and video experience where the worlds of gaming and technology collide. I'm Noakas, and I'm thrilled to be here with the dynamic duo, Kausa and Rex. How's it going, guys?
Hey Noakas! Hey listeners! Kausa here. We're pumped to bring you another episode filled with the latest and the greatest in gaming and tech. No matter what kind of gamer you are or how tech-savvy you might be, we got something just for you.
That's right, Rexy here, and we're stoked to have you join us. Whether you're a long-time listener or just discovering the podcast, you're in for a treat. We dive deep into all things gaming and tech, bringing you the news, reviews, and experiences from around the digital world.
And don't forget, if you love the vibe, hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. It helps more gamers and tech enthusiasts like you find our show. Follow us on Tech Trio Tales to stay in the loop and become part of our growing community.
Got a topic you want us to cover? Or you just want to share your latest gaming victory? Reach out to us on our socials or in the comment section. We love hearing from our listeners.
Alright team, gear up because it's time to jump into another epic episode. Let's revive, respawn, power up, and go!
Yo,
We have returned.
Did you guys want to keep it on this one, or do you want me to switch it up to the next one? Oh, well, Manu's frozen. Look at that face.
I think it's not just me.
No, let's not single him out. All right, it's not Apple. It's also happens with Pixels as well.
All right.
Hey, man. Hey, take it easy.
Anyways,
All right. So first topic that we have today, it's about anti-aging. This is a topic that we haven't covered before, and it's probably more the technology side that has motivated me to push this through. And I feel that after watching a bit of the content out there about Bryan Johnson and how he's intending to create not a perfect formula, but just a way to just stop aging at all. So it is actually intriguing how he's spending not all his resources, but part of it just to make this happen. I feel like at some point, even last year, he spent just 2 million, just 2 million on just this program itself.
Is it just himself or on himself, or is it just the research?
That's a good question. And I will say it's on himself. So just the medicine that he used. Probably he's spending a bit more money on new metal, like hiring new people and all that. But probably this counts as all the therapy, all the medicine, all the people that he hired.
yeah, and he basically has a medical center in his house.
Yes.
Okay.
This is also part of what we talked before about the human race trying to ditch death. So at some point, this comes along with that we've been trying as as a human race to reach to the next level. And one of the options, like we said before, AI could be one, which we humans transfer our memories and our data into a robot or into a server.
Artificially
But-
immortal.
Exactly, artificial immortal. But what about if we try to prolong our life even further? And how about if we stop aging? So that's actually another option, and probably it's a more difficult one from my perspective. I think Bryan Johnson is a very bright guy. That I was watching his keynotes from 2018, and he talks about AI, that he's not afraid of AI as he's afraid of humans. And he said that all our investment in the last couple of years is always been to improve the tools that we have. And that's okay, but we haven't focused on spend money to improve our brains, like our bodies. He's trying to give not more like of a vanity thing that I want to be young again and have a good life.
And if you ever look at like about doing this, it's pretty interesting. Like he does like MRI scans on every single organ in his body, and each organ is rated individually. So I think he said he had the lungs of an 18-year-old, and he had, the heart of a 28-year-old, and he's probably in his late 30s or something like that. Yeah. But he goes through this rigorous testing like every day. He gets bloods drawn so that they can measure his age from his blood. They even do stool samples to find out how his diet's going and things like that. And one of the funny things as well is they also measure his erections when he sleeps at night. I think the younger you are, the more you have. So if he started off with not so many, if he starts getting more, then that's a sign of usefulness.
Okay, it's status. It's always about his status.
I've got the stats here. I made some notes. So he's got the heart of a 37-year-old, skin of a 28-year-old, and lung capacity of an 18-year-old. And I'm not sure about the erections.
Of an 18-year-old constantly through the night.
I'm pretty sure there's people out there that will want to know that fact.
I'm disconnected.
He was watching you, bro. Talking about his boners.
Yeah. I think you were looking for the boners.
I also saw that he takes a lot of high-tech supplements, so it's not just your average supplements. It's supplements catered to what exactly he needs in order to be younger. He also has sleep-optimized chambers, so you can think like, vampires, how they go into those, like, I don't know, man. It's not for the common person. I don't know. I think that he sleeps in one of those.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Oh,
maybe
yeah.
UV lights as well. Yeah, just to help this whole anti-aging shebang.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe he has a son who's probably he's a very young man, probably like 18 or 20.
Yeah.
And he does, he uses his son's blood with his own. So he does but he gets the blood transfusion and uses his son's blood.
I wonder what that would sort of do for him in the long run. Like, is it because he's from his father that he's able to do that? Like
similar genetics.
Blood cells. I guess that it's a compatibility side of it. But if you now just rewind all the stuff that we just said, there's a lot of things that many people will think that is unethical. And I think he's just pushing the boundary. Oh, I got the like. Yeah. And I think at some point, whatever he's doing, he's just pushing the boundaries on any sort of like technological side, like just moral side of it too. He doesn't care how he does it. He's just doing it.
Yeah. But I don't think he's really causing any issues on a morality side of things. He's really just doing his own thing. And then he's also making all of his research and findings available to everybody so that you could replicate his same program if you wanted to, or you could improve it. What he was talking about in one of his videos that I was watching is that he's creating a program that looks after himself better than he could look after himself.
He's putting in the work. I would assume, like, he's not just like, taking tests and that. Like, I'm pretty sure he'd probably be doing physically, intense stuff to sort of keep him fit and push his body to the boundaries, but in a safe way, so that he can progressively get better and faster, but also recover at the same time. Because imagine like working out and doing all that sort of stuff at 45. Like, that can be taxing, man.
Yeah, he spends about an hour every day doing 36 different workouts. And he has one of those machines that he straps to his abs that force him to move. So it's like the equivalent of doing like 600 sit-ups or something like that. And he's got a 30-person medical team behind him, led by a 29-year-old doctor who charges $1,000 an hour. So that just gives you an idea of the amount of money that this guy's putting in there. It's always interesting to have a concept, but if you've got like real money behind you and you can actually do it with all the best things that money can buy, that's exactly what Bryan Johnson's doing.
On a side note, I think that you could also say this as well for the NBA player. What's his name? Who's still in the game now and still going.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Not Kobe Bryant. What's his name? The guy with the beard, right?
It goes like this.
LeBron?
LeBron, yeah.
LeBron be prolonged because he's using the technology and the resources available to him. So does that make it like, if you're doing it and you can afford it, then I don't think that there's any ethical sort of reasons behind it, because you're not affecting anyone but yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's how it's always been. Like, if you use in your resources in the right way, you normally can get things done. I know. And saying this, they get to the point where, just like you said, being 45, being 30 is taxing in the way, because when they were young, they could do all these and they could recover faster. But the older that they get, is much difficult to perform at the same level in any way. And then just using the resources to keep performing at that level. A good example for that, it's also Djokovic. Like, he's the oldest now in the tour, and he's still performing even better than most of the youngsters there that they're just now new in the game, or they've been for a few years. And I'm pretty sure he uses most of his money to find out ways to recover faster, find ways to eat better too.
He said that he doesn't want to be known as a vegan. He's plant-based.
Yeah.
Plant-based.
All these things might sound controversial, but at the end of the day, for a philanthropical sort of thing, like, it will help out humanity in overall. Like, the other thing is, like, with medicines, we are not doing many human trials because it's unethical. And back in war times, there'll be many studies that provided a lot of information, useful information for now, like for the studies that we use now. But because human trials are now prohibited, or they're a bit more tedious, now we are not able to push the boundaries in some ways. But with people like these, they are doing it on their own body. So technically, there's no one to blame. If something goes wrong, that's them.
Self.
I think definitely for them, it would be a lot easier to recover, as they have a lot of resources at their disposal. For someone maybe in the lower class, it would be a lot harder to recover from something that, potentially you might have messed up and be like, wow, can't afford this, mate. These guys like Bryan and Kobe, not Kobe,
LeBron.
LeBron and Bryan, they could easily just be like, no worries, mate, just drop another $1 on that and bring me back to life.
I guess you have to be a bit creative, though, if you don't have as many resources as other people.
I think that you couldn't do it, but it would be a lot harder.
Yeah, you can be the guinea pig.
One of the other things as well is that, for Bryan Johnson to do this, he's had to give up a lot of things. He's given up alcohol, fast food, all that stuff, junk food. He's given all of that up. But he was saying that after doing it, that was actually the easy part. It's everything else that is actually way more difficult, like the routine and keeping the same diet, things like that. So
yeah. And you were saying that he's not saying that he wants to be a vegan. but he's just plant-based. And you were saying,
Although
I
that
think
was
there was-
Djokovic.
I
That's
believe
yeah.
that Brian as well is he's on 109 or 1,977 vegan calorie diet or something
Yeah.
a day,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
it's a pretty crazy number to think about it. Like that's
It's
not
not
that
much.
But
But the-
also, money influence that how much exercise he does per day too, because
Anyways, we can go on to
Yeah.
the other topic if you guys are comfortable with that.
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah. I think that just to sum it up, like if you can afford to sort of make these advancements or anti-technology sort of plans or stuff like that, then do it, do what is available to you,
just do it yourself.
but also
Like Nike.
do it in a safe way, man. Don't be spending all this money and then, be out on the streets trying to look like a vampire.
Well,
Yeah, that's important.
that's true. I much rather spend my money on my setup so I can have a gaming setup, a proper one.
Okay.
I gotta agree with you there.
Like you can just like a crappy house, but setup is important.
Like the video that you sent me last week, Nick. It's just like this guy. It looked like he was living in like Africa or somewhere. It's like a desert, and his house looked terrible. And then it goes inside, and he has like the best gaming setup.
LEDs. The whole room is white. Even the bedding looks pretty good.
For this bit.
No worries. All right, the next topic, fam.
Yeah. So the next topic that we have is Sony and Disney. So they're going into partnership together. Disney is actually palming off their physical side to Sony, and Sony's been quite successful in this area for some time now. And now Disney has just decided that they, I guess, want to focus more on the streaming side of things and move into the streaming wars with everybody else. So it's interesting to see that Disney's made this choice. I think the physical market has actually started to decline since streaming has become so popular over COVID and things like that. So I guess the question is like, is the physical market dying? But then also, is there any strings attached to Disney giving Sony this opportunity to run the physical side of it? Is it a partnership that could lead into bigger things with the metaverse and different areas?
Let's start with a good example will be Blockbuster. Blockbuster main business was just the physical side of things, and I think people enjoyed, even myself, I get to try it. And it was just amazing how you go on every week just to
The video
store and just like browse through the store and pick up. I think they even have some games. I remember I took like some of those games from Blockbuster.
You never bought them back, or?
Well, I didn't have to because they closed down.
Okay.
So I was trying to be a good guy. I came back with the games, and they say, "Well, we're not here anymore. You can take it."
There you go. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would have done the same thing, because I know I would have done the same thing.
But being saying like just the physical side of things, it might be becoming like more on the collector side. So people will still keep the physical disc and all that. But I'm seeing that most of, like people that collect these things, they don't use it, and they still buy the games online nowadays. So at some point, like DVDs, Blu-rays, like I don't know many people that is using that. And the only fact that they're still there, it's because sometimes they have higher quality. They can store large amounts of information on those discs, and that's the only reason I know.
Yeah, I actually know somebody who's like we have a family member, and he lives in Germany. He's the type of guy. He has a record player. He still listens to records. And one of the other things that he collects is Blu-rays. And his house is set up in a way, like his couches have subwoofers in the bottom of it and built into it. So like when you hear the bass, you can actually feel it as well.
Like a 4D cinema.
There are always people like that who prefer the feel. They like when they purchase something, they want to touch it. They're like very textile, and he wants to buy things, hold it, put it in, and also the quality, the quality of the audio, the quality of the video. Blu-ray is 4K. Sometimes you can't get that on Netflix or Disney Plus. That's all dependent on your internet connection. This is the same guy that I showed you that collects hot toys.
Okay.
Actually, the less there is of a certain product, so the higher the demand is and the more valuable it is. So, with Disney sort of slowing down on their physical merch, it's actually going to increase the value of it in the long run.
Yeah. Collector's items, DVDs, like you said. And there's a big community out there sort of catered to these sort of things. And I'm pretty sure there'd be a lot of like rich collectible connoisseurs or people that just sort of love these things. And at a certain point in time, like everything, like once it becomes obsolete, man, the prices of those things. So you know what? Everybody hold on to your Disney sort of
Too late. I already sold them all.
But there could be a potential market for it in the future.
Yeah.
But I think on the streaming side, like I'm sure Sony would still sort of sell all of the stuff online.
In this deal, Sony is just handling all the physical merchandise. Disney already has a presence online and they have a way to sell their subscriptions.
And they have Disney Plus. So Disney Plus wouldn't be going anywhere, right?
So changing is the subscription service that Disney had for its physical things. It's called the Disney Movie Club. And you pay a subscription and every month you get access to physical copies of really hard to get or old Disney movies.
So like gems, Disney gems.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that the prices would change dramatically from the get-go, or because it's sort of becoming obsolete that they can charge a higher price? Or
probably not initially. It's going to take some time for it to become rarer.
And this whole strategy, if you link it up with what Disney has been doing with Epic Games and Apple Vision Pro, they are pushing a lot to the virtual side of things. So I think what they keep like they're thinking new spaces for new generations, but that's the physical side that they're still pumping money. But all the others, I think they are trying to specialize on the virtual side, which is the newcomer. And they realize like people like Netflix, because they got ahead of the game because they were there before, they got millions of dollars. And now that they're also in the game, it took them a while to actually be there. But now that they are there, they want to just stay there. Like they don't want to go away.
And they get that. Sure. One thing, it's funny that you brought up Netflix. It's interesting to... Yeah, so it's funny that you brought up Netflix because they actually started off as a physical brand. The Netflix back in the day, you used to get a CD or a USB. I remember seeing the Netflix, and they would have a catalog of movies on there that you could watch. And it's interesting to see that they've completely transitioned to digital.
Cloud watching on a streaming. What is it? It's just cloud streaming, or?
So like if you compare them to Blockbuster, they started out at the same spot, but one failed and one succeeded.
Exactly. Hence the name. I mean, the term Netflix and chill came to life.
I think there was something else.
Okay. What do you guys reckon the future of physical media would be? Do you reckon studios should follow suit to what Disney is doing, and prioritize discs along streaming, or just focus on streaming?
Well, let's take it and look at it from the perspective of video games, because there is an advantage actually of physical games versus digital games in video games, because for PlayStation at least, there's only one place to buy digital products, and that's from the Sony store, and they can charge whatever they want. But there's more retailers that can sell physical copies. So you, for example, in Australia, you have shops like JB Hi-Fi that offer the same product, but a physical copy of it much cheaper.
Yeah, I've never seen a Sony store in a shopping center.
It's because they use retail.
Oh, they just send it through.
Yeah.
It'll be through like JB and
EB.
Even if you go to a Sony store, they don't actually sell many games. Normally, Sony stores, they sell just the TVs, all the electronic sides. So it's not the game inside. I think most of the distribution, like you said, it's through retailers like authorized retailers. So
You might get like a Sony store in like an airport in a duty free section or something like that.
Fair
mm,
enough.
okay. From that perspective, from the video game perspective, I think it's more beneficial from the as as a customer, like to buy it on physical copies. But I think on the movies and TV shows side, because that market it's kind of dying. And then also let's put it the same way. You want to buy a movie, Aquaman just came out in December and now it's released on streaming. But on the streaming you have to pay an extra amount just to rent it out or buy it. But because there's multiple retailers online nowadays, you can also get the best price just by browsing. Whereas the PlayStation side, like example, that you're right, like they just have one store where you can just buy the game. So
Yeah.
I think because it's a monopoly, it's not beneficial from our side. But for movies, I think we still getting the benefits out of it just because there's a lot of players in the market at the moment.
One thing that we
Yeah.
didn't touch that we probably don't encourage is one of the reasons why the movie side is the way it is because of people pirating and doing that. That completely devalues everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't stop that sort of stuff, man.
Yes, but that is the reason why the physical side is not working.
And then pirate 20 and sell.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure in the past there was a booming pirating thing.
Yeah, there was.
I remember our relatives coming to Samoa and they would have a like a disc case full of pirated movies, and we'd love it because it'd be some of the like latest movies or popular movies from America and then, and we were like, bro, this is awesome.
And I'm not kidding. In Peru, there's a market, like it's a legal legal, I'm telling you, like legal market that you can go into store and buy the pirate versions of any single movie that you can imagine and just bring it back home. Like you can buy like, I don't know, 10 movies for the price, not even a quarter of the price of what the original will cost.
And that's like with video games, the reason why that hasn't happened is because it's actually really difficult to pirate PlayStation games, Xbox games. If you try to burn a disc and put it into a PlayStation, it doesn't work. So that is one of the advantages of having, one like Sony controlling PlayStation, Microsoft controlling Xbox. They can control how that happens. Whereas with movies, you can watch a movie on anything.
Yeah. And also think about on the hardware side of things. How many people that you know are buying a Blu-ray at the moment?
Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, because it comes standard in like a PlayStation and Xbox, you're basically buying a Blu-ray player when you buy a console.
Yeah. But there's not many people that actually owns a Blu-ray anymore. And that also means that you don't have the hardware to run the movie.
Except for Mini.
That being said, a lot of people might not actually have access to internet. So some people that don't have access to internet might have the option to use the CD. So that's what I was thinking, like maybe it's still viable for those people that are in regional areas that, it's cheaper to get a Blu-ray or it's, just because it's not popular, and they can still watch these movies in these places that don't have internet. So that's another thing that I was thinking about as well, is like for some people that don't have the access to streaming, or if it's too slow, like, it's the same thing with gaming. Like when a new AAA sort of game comes out and you buy the disc version, you don't have to wait for it to download, right? Depending on the speed of your internet, you just stick it in. It's almost downloaded. There might be small updates, but you can pretty much play in under an hour. Whereas
day 100 gig update.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. I think in a similar way, you could do that for streaming as well. So I think that's the other side of it as well. Like people that don't have access to fast internet, or that can stream their videos on Netflix or Prime or Disney Plus, they can get these discs and watch it straight away.
That's a really good point. Accessibility in terms of not having the streaming as an option. And also, if you can see, also the prices have raised a lot through the years on the streaming side. So I'm thinking there's people that are opting out from them too. and they're all trying to find ways just to have just one or two, and that also shortens out the options that they have. And if they can find another way, which is probably the physical side of things, which they probably deterred to do it before, if the market is still there, I think some people might think, okay, I might try it. Like, what's the point? Like, this is just the thing. Imagine if you go to the movies, to the cinema, and you get a physical copy as a souvenir. Like, I would be keen to have it on my display and watch it sometime. Like, if it was a good movie, right? And you probably can get it. It's like, I don't think that's a crazy thing to do. Like,
as like a promotional tool.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I was thinking about one more thing.
Anyways, I'm doing that today. I think it's on low battery, so
that's right. I think that pretty much sums up physical side of Disney.
Yeah. Definitely, we might expect to come some collectors to the game at some point in a few years from now. We'll see that Blu-rays are gonna be something that people talks like as a relic, like just
hardcore collectors, So make sure you save all your stuff, guys. Don't let it go. Don't throw it in the bin. You never know how much it could be worth.
Could be worth something one day.
That's it. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into another episode with the boys on the mic. Today I was joined by my co-hosts No Wakas and Kausa, and we talked about Bryan Johnson and how he's chasing the youth of life, or the elixir of life. And the second segment we talked about Disney partnering with Sony to handle its physical media business. Thanks so much for tuning in, and like and subscribe. Peace.